service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC and Jib Jab greetings. I'm Bud Lowell. Your full AccuWeather forecast, that's always on top of your CNC local page. Kodak has filed a motion with the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York to start the process of selling what the company calls its digital assets, the rights to use its collected patents and technology in digital imaging. Kodak is counting on raising a substantial amount of capital by selling those assets to pull the company through its bankruptcy and reorganization. A hearing on conditions of the sale will be held July 2nd before Judge Alan Gropper. As the judge hearing the bankruptcy case, Judge Gropper has to issue an order before the sale can take place. Kodak holds 744 U.S. patents, 374 foreign patents, and has nearly 400 applications pending in digital image capture alone. It's already generated about $3 billion from licensing patents in recent years. Kodak's court filing says it's been planning this sale for the past 12 months. It wants all bids to be in by the end of July. It wants to hold the auction in New York City on the morning of August 8th. Again, that's if the judge approves. The Rochester City School District released graduation rates from the State Education Department. The news wasn't good. Superintendent Bolgan Vargas said Rochester was the only one of New York's Big Five school districts that showed a drop in graduation rates for 2011. The city schools did actually graduate more students than they did in 2010, but the graduation rate for students after 4 years of high school was only 45.5%, down from 46.1% for 2010. Buffalo, Syracuse, Yonkers, and New York City all pulled their graduation rates up by 2.5% or better. Rochester's best performing high schools are School of the Arts at 90%, School Without Walls, 66% graduation rate, Wilson Commencement, 61% of those kids graduate, and Northeast College Prep graduates 60%. And here are the worst. The Dr. Freddie L. Thomas Learning Center, 47%, East High, 43%, Jefferson, 39%, Franklin International Finance Academy, 38%, Franklin Bioscience, 37%, Charlotte, 34%, and Monroe High, just 33% graduating. Dr. Vargas says no excuses can be made for this level of performance. He's already moving forward on a plan to close 4 of the worst performing city high schools and reform 3 others, and you saw those noted in that slide. He also hopes a new all-city high school that has smaller class sizes, a strong focus on school attendance, and flexible schedules will make a difference. Elsewhere in the city, the mayor of Rochester wants to move ahead on plans to get rid of one-way traffic downtown. He's asking the city council to approve a study next week on what needs to be done for St. Paul Street and Clinton Avenue to safely change over to two-way. The $142,000 study would be done by a local engineering firm. It'll look into signaling, signing, and curb changes needed. The project is also expected to include a complete resurfacing of both streets downtown and to be finished by the end of next year. New York's governor and top legislative leaders have announced an agreement to overhaul and strengthen the state's domestic violence laws. The agreement announced by Governor Cuomo, Senate Majority Leader Skelos, and Assembly Speaker Silver includes a series of measures to protect victims of domestic violence and crack down on repeat offenders. It hikes the penalty for a repeat offense to a felony, meaning serious prison time. It allows judges to consider risk factors such as firearm possession and violations of restraining orders in determining who gets bail, and it establishes a statewide fatality review team to find new ways to prevent intimate partner homicides. Domestic violence is a problem for New York State and the nation. It's been identified by the U.S. Surgeon General as the #1 health problem affecting American women. You can't say that the city of Rochester played any part in the War of 1812 because it wasn't here yet, but a small village did exist on Lake Ontario at the mouth of the Genesee River, the village that became today's Rochester neighborhood of Charlotte, and that's where people will gather on Saturday, June 23rd, to dedicate a War of 1812 bicentennial peace garden. The Rochester area may be a footnote in the history of that 200-year-old war, but it played a part, and sailors and Marines of the British Royal Navy did come ashore at Charlotte. And that story is worth telling. According to historian Jim Fisher of Hamlin, here's how it goes.
Rochester wasn't yet existing, but the mills were, and so they were grinding wheat and corn and so on, and then they were putting it in barrels and putting it on barges, and they would ship it from here to Fort Niagara, to Fort Oswego, to Sackett's Harbor, and all the other American forts that were on Lake Ontario. And so the English, who had their port at Kingston, they would come in when the American fleet wasn't around. They would come into Rochester to try to pick up supply.
The Peace Garden is on the grounds of the Charlotte Genesee Lighthouse Museum and the 1822 Charlotte Lighthouse. State, county, and local officials will be there to dedicate it on the 23rd, and the Canadian sailing brig Fair Jeanne is scheduled to fire a cannon salute as she passes downriver during the ceremony. On this page, you can find links to these and other stories. At the bottom, links to post your own news updates. Sports and salutes. They're down there in that gray bar. If you have something of interest for GreeceNYLive.com, we have an email set up just for that. Submit GreeceNY@CNCWorldwide.com. Next news as it happens, updates when necessary. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.